it did not at all. In fact, how we decided what workout we were doing that day was I didn't have a name for it.
Nope.
I didn't have a template. I didn't have anything.
We didn't even know who was coming.
I had a stopwatch, and that's all I had. And I would literally just, in my head, come up with this idea while I was driving in. I lived about 10 minutes from the gym. I lived in Cohoes at the time, 10 minutes away to Manans. And I said, okay, I got 10 minutes to come up with an idea, slap it on the board, and away we go.
Did you really use a stopwatch when you first started?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode, we think 27, could be the wrong number, but we think 27 of the Metabolic Academy podcast. This is Lindsay kicking it off. I'm here with Matt, and I want you all, hopefully, if you're hearing this right now, maybe you're listening on Spotify, maybe you're on some iTunes. What I really need you to do is I need you to get onto YouTube, and I need you to pull this up because Matt is wearing a phenomenal Groutfit today. So let's show them. Let's show the people what they need. There it is. We have a gray on gray, a red shoe action here today, but Matt is the king of the Groutfit, and he knows that it's something that I appreciate very much. How do you feel in your Groutfit today, Matt?
I feel actually very comfortable. You know, I have a Lulu. I don't know what you call this. It's like a half zip sweatshirt with the Metabolic joggers. But, before I left the house, I'm going to be 42 years old in a couple weeks, so I really could care literally less about what the general public thinks about what I'm wearing. But I said to Kara, I said, is Lindsay going to make fun of me for this Groutfit before I left the house? Because Lindsay's known to spot a Groutfit, and she will call that Groutfit out. But I don't know. The tide might be turning. That's a strong Groutfit. She told me it was like a two-tonal gray ensemble, I think is the word she used. And so I said, okay, then I'm going to wear it.
I would put Kara's fashion sense over pretty much anybody's fashion sense any day, anytime, especially mine. Actually, Brian asked me the other day when I was going to stop shopping at Target for my clothes. I was like, what's wrong with Target? I mean, I'm 36 years old. You know what I mean? I should probably update it soon. Yeah. But, so Kara is definitely in the know there. But it's a strong Groutfit. I appreciate that Groutfit.
I think I've maybe mentioned this before, but years ago, Kara used to, before I went to bed at night, she would lay out my workout outfit and my work outfit before we had uniforms on. That's why uniforms are great. I don't have to think about it. But she would lay it out, and all the clients would be like, oh, that's a great shirt. Those are nice joggers. All the time I'd get these compliments. And then something happened. Do you know what that was?
I can guess.
Caden was born.
You had a son.
And I literally, that stopped happening. And so clients instead would then say, oh, did you dress yourself today? And more clients, more comments like that. But the torch has been passed because I think Caden's, he's got some swag.
Caden's got the best swag. I look forward to his outfits when he comes in every time.
He's got some nice outfits.
Got the flow.
He's so much cooler than I was. It's not even close.
Oh, yeah. I feel like kids' fashion now, though, I don't know, the stuff that I wore when I was Gino, Caden, young, basically a toddler,
I think I wore Oshkosh Bagosh. Yeah, how do you say that? Oshkosh Bagosh. The overalls.
Right.
I mean, corduroy was in when I was young.
Oh, yeah.
And the flannel never goes out. So that
I may have had some silk shirts and vests.
You're Italian, so that makes perfect sense as to why you would have silk shirts.
So not as young as Caden and Gino, but do you remember the store Bradley's? There's
of
Bradley's
and there's
Bradley's.
Ames. In Mohawk Mall in Mosquito, they had Bradley's.
Right. So Bradley's and Ames were two of the stores that we would go back to school shopping in. And I vividly remember I had a mustard, which very hard color to pull off, a mustard silk shirt that had a vest with patches on it. And I remember staring at my closet the day before school started, being I can't wait to wear you. I can't wait.
I'm gonna rock this on that bus.
I was so excited to put on that mustard silk shirt.
Back to school shopping. My mom used to bring my brother and I. We dreaded it. We'd go to Rutnick's, and it's an old clothing store in downtown Schenectady. I don't even know if it's. I don't even.
Do clothing stores still exist?
I don't think so, but I think it's one of those situations where they have the vintage signage, and I think the sign is still up and down.
There?
I think it is.
You and John should go take a picture.
Oh my gosh! And I'd go in there and just, your mom would pull the jeans up and button them. Now walk around and do this. Oh my goodness. I hated that day. Day.
I don't know why it would always embarrass me. If I was trying on a sweatshirt or sweater and my mom would be just put it on over your clothes. And I'm no, I don't want to. Yeah. I wanted to go into the changing room area. Where you just didn't, it wasn't cool. But she'd always be just put it on.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah. Just the shoes was one thing, but the jeans is just too much. It's kind of funny because to this day, Kara pulls that with me. So when she gets me jeans or whatever else, she'd be like, go try them on. It brings me back.
I would love to see you trying on your jeans for
Well, guess what I say to Kara that you can't say to your mom? Nope. No thanks.
I don't know. I would, if I was a betting woman, which I'm not. You're a betting man. I might bet that you put the jeans on.
The over-under is half the time. I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that.
I was going to say, my dad used to try on clothes all the time. And like, I've got vivid memories of him. Like, he would always put on his clothes and then come out in the living room and be like, don't touch it. Don't. I'd be like, Dad, I'm not going to touch your pants. Like, I'm not going to wear your shirt. But he would like show them off. He loved to like show us when he went on a shopping haul.
He liked the clothes.
Yes, he was a very cool guy.
I've never been really into. That's why I feel lucky and blessed that we're in this generation. We're wearing joggers and like
yes.
Because I think I still would have been the guy wearing sweatpants in the 80s.
Yep.
I don't like dressing up.
Same.
Dressing up for me is wearing jeans and a nice Lulu top.
Right.
That's dressing up for me. I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't. When we did the Met Gala, that's not my.
That's not
my scene.
No.
Not
that's
a tuxedo,
all right. That doesn't need to be.
Not a suit. Just.
It's amazing that when some of the clients walk in the gym, like in their gym clothes, and then they go into the bathroom and they come out in like their like actual like clothes that they wear for their careers, and I'm like, oh my god, like you look like a different person.
Well, do you remember?
Or when they come in, even like the teachers at like 3:30 or 4:30. Yeah. Shout out Melissa Zimmerman. Always has phenomenal clothes when she comes in. She looks great.
Even at the Met Gala though, the men look the same because they're not wearing makeup, but the women with the makeup, some of them would walk right by me and be like, "It's me."
Yeah, you have no idea.
I work out with you every day. And I was like, oh my God.
Right. Where's the sweat, the headband, the like scowl at 5 a.m.?
Well, the women are funny because they always trip me up with their hair. Because hair is especially with, today as we film this, unfortunately we have masks on in Green Island, but we're doing the workouts and you're dealing with a mask. And today was 7 degrees out. So we had the hoodie too. So I'm dealing with a set of eyes like this coming in. And I'm like,
I know you.
Leslie?
Right,
Is that you?
Right. Who's underneath all of that?
I have a basic height.
Who do I got here?
You definitely get good at that, though, identifying the clients.
I learned all of the Green, but not all of them, because obviously I have some history in Green Island. But when I came back as studio manager last January, December time, I learned everybody in masks. And so I had to like learn them all. And then I had to learn them again when they took the masks off. Because also people look a lot different without the mask. Like if you meet somebody with a mask on and then they take it off and you're like, whoa. That's your face.
With the mask, you can't not see their eyes.
Right.
That's all you can see. And there's other options.
There's other,
there's
other facial. I mean, what would the mob do if they could just see the eyes?
I don't know. I mean, I think they want to see your whole face.
They want to see the whole face,
big into honesty and transparency. Lindsay's making fun of me because I listen to a lot of Mafia podcasts of late because it's something I'm interested in.
I'm starting to get nervous about Matt because he used to listen to serial killer podcasts and now he listens to Mafia podcasts. So I feel like you learned how to kill people and now how to destroy the bodies.
Well, the Mafia, there's a lot more to it than that.
We should all be worried.
La Cosa Nostra has there's a whole ethical code to it, so it's not as simple as that. The serial killer ones, I've always been interested in true crime stories. Yeah. I think in another life, I would have liked to be a police officer, possibly. Yeah. I think it's interesting. I never liked the idea of taking that home. Yeah. So I just never wanted to do that. But I think that the podcasts about the serial killers, they get a little dark. So I had to kind of give it up. It gets a little heavy at times.
I don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
I get like.
That's how I relax and detach.
What a way to relax. Just listen to it and just drift off to sleep at night. The Mafia
stuff, though, is super interesting. There's a lot of, and I'm being serious when I say this, there's a lot of leadership and business lessons to be learned from how those guys conducted themselves. Right. And unfortunately, I mean, they chose a life of crime and did a lot of not nice things. Right. But in terms of their intelligence and their drive to do what they did, it was very high. Yeah. So I was impressed. You got to tip your hat to that, of course.
Taking good business tips.
Yeah, and just the code those guys live by. I mean, I couldn't imagine, when you enter that life, it's not a long life, and it's just I think just there's all sorts of fables and old wives' tales about the dangers of like the Midas touch and everything, and that's they lived hard and they lived short, and that was it. I remember hearing the names like John Gotti when I was a kid, and I didn't know much about him, and I've learned a lot about the guy's life, and I'm not going to say anything bad about him. Nope. Not here, but super interesting.
Funny, when you said John Gotti, all I could think of was Grotti from The Office. Like, why would he change R from Gotti to Grotti? Anyway, we love The Office.
Yeah.
But,
We'll do a mob podcast.
We should. I would be a terrible guest. We can do an Office podcast.
Well, one of the guys I follow, Samuel Gravano, I listen to his podcast. So this guy's committed 19 murders, was put in jail for 20 years at the age of like 60 for dealing ecstasy in Arizona. He was big time underboss. I believe he was in the Gambino family.
Okay.
And he had, there was a show called Mob Wives. I don't know
Yep,
if you ever
I've heard of it.
His daughter, Karen Gravano, was one of the main characters on the show. Yeah. So, but he's actually a very good storyteller. Yeah. Very good.
I'm sure. They have a lot of stories to tell.
He's also been indicted for 19 murders, and I don't know. I mean, those are the ones he's been indicted for, so I don't know what else he did. But I guess I do take some solace in, and granted, they're killing people. It's wrong. There's murders, but he's not walking down the street just offing random people. These are, people who have crossed him or whatever, done him wrong. And, it's not right. I'm not saying that it is, but it's not random. I'll tell you that. It certainly is not random.
No, it's not. Yeah. Well, we weren't just here today to talk about the mob and Matt's Groutfit and going back to school shopping, because somehow that all worked together.
Right.
But we thought it would be fun to talk today about the metabolic templates, kind of how they started, where they came from, the names, a little bit of like history of all of that. Because metabolic has definitely come a long way in terms of like the programming and everything that goes into it, even like in terms of our coaches, where now they get, we call them the nugget videos, but they get like a very in-depth breakdown of the workout of the day and what they should be looking for and problem areas and weighting and then how to load and all of that. But when you first started, yep. And then I came in, didn't quite go that way.
No, it did not at all. In fact, how we decided what workout we were doing that day was I didn't have a name for it.
Nope.
I didn't have a template. I didn't have anything.
We didn't even know who was coming.
I had a stopwatch. And that's all I had. And I would literally just in my head come up with this idea while I was driving in. I lived about 10 minutes from the gym. I lived in Cohoes at the time, 10 minutes away to Menands. And I said, okay, I got 10 minutes to come up with an idea, slap it on the board, and away we go.
Did you really use a stopwatch when you first started?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I've got a funny story about that. So I would drive in, come up with these workouts. Like some of them are still around, 40 and 40, gauntlet. I think 35 chances came a little later, but we did a video about Foursquare today. That was born that way. Descending, stay for 6. Those all were created that way. Sandwich was created that way. I guess God didn't gift me with a 40-inch vertical or 4.5 speed in the 40-yard dash, but I guess I can think of templates pretty quickly.
That's great.
And on the fly. So I was able to do that. But yeah, we'd have stopwatches. Like Drew had a stopwatch, I had a stopwatch, and we would start the stopwatches or whatever. I'm getting so old, I don't even remember. I don't even think Drew was around when I was doing that. I think we had workout Muse by that point. But back in the day when I would make this up, I'd have a stopwatch. And some of the clients, and my OG metabolic clients, and honestly, if you've done metabolic for more than...
You start to know time.
Yeah, they would know time.
Yeah.
So if I goofed up on the stopwatch, which if you're coaching, you're going to.
Right.
I would forget, or they'd be like, it's been 45 seconds. It'd been like 65 seconds.
No, it's not. Be quiet.
Stop. Next station. It was a disaster. It was a nightmare. But
a beautiful disaster.
It was a beautiful disaster. We got a great workout in, but no, honestly, like that's how the flows came in. I mean, once I had the template format in mind, it was relatively easy with the timing system we have just to throw it on a timer and hand it to you or Drew and go from there.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, some of them, Drew might have come up with a couple template names. I think you've come up with a couple.
Yeah.
I came up with obviously most of them. And
I feel like when I first started in Metabolic as a coach, or not as a coach, excuse me, as a client, a lot of the templates didn't have names. Like you had Foursquare, but it wasn't called Foursquare. It was just the workout of the day.
Right.
And we would go through it. And then eventually
I think that lasted
them
for like 6 months or so.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to name it something.
Right.
I think I was afraid of seeming like CrossFit because they had like Fran and like, I don't even know the rest of those names of those workouts, but they have names for their workouts.
Yeah.
But I did realize that the clients would start talking about it and it would allow them to recognize what they liked.
Right.
And we could kind of go from there. But we were reminiscing to a couple of coworkers actually about who didn't know this. And I think a lot of metabolic clients don't know this. We used to write the names on the board, and that's how the clients would get to know each other though. So in other words, for those listening, you'd walk into the gym and see Lindsay greeting you in a 1,200 square foot room.
Yep.
And she would literally say, oh, hey, Tony, what's going on? And write Tony's name on the board next to Steve.
Right.
And like they'd be on the board.
Right.
And then
right.
more clients would come to quickly erase them, put them somewhere else.
Right. Because you didn't know who was coming or how many people were coming into the class, which is still like mind blowing. We had no idea who was going to show up.
But I will say this. Nobody can grit a room like you, Drew. And
it's true. And now I don't remember, how did we separate? Because we didn't have a way to separate the front and back. Did people just choose? Did they just show up in what room? Like how did we separate the rooms?
People just chose.
They
wanted Lindsay or me. And honestly, it was relatively even. And I always say this. Drew was love the guy.
Yeah.
Stud muffin. Looks
muffin.
great in a uniform. Was a terrible coach when he first started. And he'll laugh if he hears this because he evolved into a tremendous coach and one of the best we've seen here at Metabolic. And today he's awesome. But it was not that way at the beginning.
Yeah.
It was not at all that way. And he was so bad that clients, I had to ask them to go in his room. I know people find that hard to believe. What are you going to choose, a Matt Phillips room or a Drew Smith room? I mean, come on, he'd blow me out of the water.
Right. But
that's how it was back then. And then one day, because I honestly, a lot of people haven't seen this side of me in training, but I'm pretty demanding with the coaches behind the scene. I think as I've gotten older, I think I've gotten quite a bit softer than I used to be on you and Drew and Kels and James and those who have been around a little while. But I was tough on Drew. Yeah. I was tough on him. And he eventually, in a big brother kind of way, I was tough on him. Yeah. And he came around and he got better. And he got better fast because Drew's smart.
Yeah.
So he got better fast. And all of a sudden, I remember Beth, this client we have, she's still with us. I won't say her last name, but Beth always worked out with me every single day at 4:30. And one Thursday, she just went to the front. And I said, Beth, why aren't you in my class? And she's like, I kind of like it. I kind of like Drew's class. And it initially almost hurt a little bit. But then a light bulb went off that if I'm ever going to grow this thing and I'm ever going to scale this thing, I need to make myself replaceable and scalable.
Right. Well, I think that's when you know that like your coaches are doing a good job is when people choose to go to that other class or to go to that other room.
Yeah.
And I remember you used to throw a lot of the guys up with me until I started making them all throw up. And then
you did make most all of them
and
throw
then
up.
You took them back again. But it's wild. It's wild to think about where it all came around. But I do remember when Drew was first starting to you were really training him because I was using, I think it was like the green kettlebell or something on a squat. And you had him tell me to bump up to red, but he came up and he was like, I'm so sorry. Matt's making me do this. Will you grab the red one? And you were like, no, you do it. It was like, he had such a hard time being a tough coach, which again, now he's the best of the best, but it takes some time to figure it out. But
it does.
Yeah. But it is fun now looking back because I'm with the template names and stuff, people do oh, what's it going to be like? Oh, it's Thunder and Lightning today. Or that was always my most hated template. So I think you start to know what you're in for a little bit and what to expect. And I know even me, today we had Golden Gate Bridge. I did it in Saratoga, which it's just a whole different animal up there. Do you know what I mean? You go up there for a Golden Gate Bridge and you better drink your Met Fuel that morning. But I love that, that now. You know what I mean? You know how to kind of prepare yourself for the task at hand.
Oh, absolutely.
And clients, they post about it. They talk about you have the ones you love, you have the ones that you hate. Or you love to hate, and it's fun.
It's like having a bunch of kids and serving dinner. Someone's not going to like the dinner.
Right.
And some people it's their favorite, and some people are in the middle.
Right.
It's also funny how the templates kind of go full circle. So Triangle, if you remember, what was Triangle's original name? Do you remember that?
It was called, I want to say the Green Island Triangle, but no, it was Lanes?
Not Columns.
Columns.
It was called Columns, and we did it the way we do it now, which is what's ironic about it.
That's funny. I never thought about that.
Yeah, we did it in columns. So.
Right.
Triangle, we switched to the triangle format when we didn't have lanes, and now that we're back to lanes, it makes sense to do columns again. So
yeah, I remember running up and down the column that was brutal.
Yeah, I mean the partner workouts, the complexes.
Yep, complexes.
They were all done. They were all born and created.
Evil.
Yeah, they were created the same way using the same method, and I mean a lot
and
of
we've retired a few templates.
We have retired.
Not
a few
too
templates.
many, but there's been a few that
we'll bring them back during wildcard week
right.
now and then. But with our focus on strength training, I think a lot of them. They need to kind of make sense.
Yeah,
and some of them, candidly, don't make a lot of sense.
Make a lot of sense.
That.
Right.
I mean, they'll get you sore and they'll make you tired.
Right.
But in terms of progression and seeing it that way. And I was actually talking to Tim a little bit about this. I think sometimes we do hit a point in time where we have so many. Right. And as training coaches and as people designing the workouts, you feel pressure to make it different.
Right.
But man, some of the templates are so good
They're
that
so good.
you kind of wish we maybe had a less of them to choose from so you could do them more.
Right.
I'll give an example, like Mirror, the one we did. I love that template. Mm-hmm. That's such a good workout.
That was always a fan favorite.
That's such a good workout.
Yeah.
And we should do that at least once a month, but because it gets caught up in the rotation, it might be every 6-7 weeks we get to it. You know?
Well, maybe that's what makes it feel so good too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Do you have a favorite template?
You know, it's funny because you know the answer to this. It's hard for me because I've coached so many of them. So the ones I love doing actually are not the ones I like coaching and vice versa.
Right.
I actually used to really enjoy coaching like Triangle and things like that because I felt like I could really get to clients because they were stationary and I could really kind of light them up and coach them up as well. I hate doing Triangle as a client. That's one of my least favorite.
That was one of your least favorite.
I don't like hated that my one, ADD. I like to move. I like to move. I like to do different things. I love, honestly, the two that stick out to me today. I do like 40 and 40.
Yep.
And I like Blue 42. I love those two.
Yeah. I think Blue 42 has become like a fast favorite. Because you can get after
the finisher always sucks.
The finisher always sucks. But that's like one of those templates that like you can like really test your strength. And I think especially now that clients have gotten more into the strength training component of it, they look forward to those days where you can kind of like push weight. Similar, what was the one we just did this week where it was Arcade. Arcade was a similar one where like, I mean, we did the 1 second pause at the bottom of the floor press, so that was a little bit limiting, but you could still kind of push. It was a 25-second set, so you could push some weight.
Yeah, no, that was definitely great. We've got so many good ones, you know.
Right. To your point, though, I don't love to coach Arcade. It's so fast.
The fast-moving workouts are fun to do and hard to coach.
Right.
They're very hard to coach. You have to be a very experienced coach that can get in and out.
Yeah.
The cool thing is you got multiple rounds. You almost have to do your coaching on other stations so that when they get to it, they can kind of know what they're doing there. Mm-hmm. The other two templates that always stick out to me are 1, 2, 3 and 3, 2, 1. Oof. So in 1, 2, 3, typically do a round at 60, 2 rounds at 45, 3 rounds at 30. Yeah. 3, 2, 1 is just the inverted. 3 at 30, 2 at 45, 1 at 60. Yeah. What happens every time we do that? What do people say?
When you do 3, 2, 1, they want it to be 1, 2, 3.
Why aren't
when
we
you
doing
do 1, 2, 3, they want to do 3, 2, 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which one do you like better? You just told me last week you like the other one.
Right. I will stick by this every time. I prefer 3, 2, 1. I like to finish when I know there's just one round to finish. It's it's 1 minute. Yes, it's long. It's hard, but it's one time. And I love that. I feel like with 1, 2, 3, you get to the 3 rounds and you're like, oh, good, it's 30 seconds, but there's still like 12 minutes of a workout left.
To me, 3, 2, 1 feels a little bit like Blue 42. It's a little bit like that where you're ramping up and then you can take a step back. And I love doing that. A little bit. I love doing that. And it's crazy too. That weight feels so light after you deload, but once felt heavy. They're very similar templates, and I really do like that too. Yeah. There's so many good ones and so many that. It's funny as we sit here talking now, I'm getting ideas like, man, we haven't done Tornado in a while. Man, we haven't done Free Falling.
Right.
And then it's funny
because I loved when I coached Free Falling and all the young kids would be like, oh, John Mayer. And I was like, it's Tom Petty, kids.
Oh my God.
Come on.
John Mayer.
Right.
I remember, and it's funny too because I'm just being real with the audience and they can laugh at me. But I remember making so many templates. I'd get excited. I came up with this great idea. I'd map it all out. And then I'd be like, oh, that's Mirror. We've already done that concept before.
Right. I've done that a couple of times too, where I've come to you with an idea and you've been like, so Thunder and Lightning.
That's why.
Right.
In retrospect, not 35 chances, Free Falling, and what's the other one? That's like that Hurricane, is it?
Similar,
Hurricane and Free Falling.
One has like an extra round.
Right.
One has
Got it. I think one of them. I think Hurricane is 65, 55, 45, 35, and I think Free Falling is like a little lesser on the long end, but an extra round at the end.
Yes, it's like
it might be 60,
45,
50, 40, 20 or something. I don't
like
even
that. Or 55, 45, 35, 25.
I don't even remember. Yeah.
We haven't done Free Falling or Hurricane.
It's been a minute. It's been a minute. I remember when we did Free Falling because Peyton, one of our newer coaches, it was her first day interning in Clifton Park a few months ago. And that's why I knew Courtney was a savage because Courtney made her sing Free Falling in front of the class.
No way.
Joking around.
That's
Poor
terrible.
girl's face turned white.
Oh, God.
It's first day on the job. And she took it like a champ, though, and shrugged it off.
That's you got to be a good sport. Yeah. I guess if you can do that, you can do anything when it comes into this one.
I mean, I'll sing if you want me to sing. It's not gonna sound good though.
Nobody wants me to sing.
No,
Nobody wants me to sing. When it's like sometimes when the Wi-Fi cuts out and the music like pauses in the middle of class.
So Courtney's husband, Jeff, for the Clifton Park clients, ask him. He can carry a little bit of a tune.
Can he carry a tune?
He can carry a tune. I learned that during COVID.
Did you know Tim can too?
Tim gets very serious about it. If you ask him,
I know.
I was like, "Can you sing?" He's like, dead serious. He's like, "Yeah, a little bit." Carry a tune.
Well, that's it. That's exactly what he says. So when I started,
put his money where his mouth is.
When he first started in Clifton Park, because he would never lose his voice. Like this was before we had mics, and I remember like. I sounded like this for the most part. Like we all had like raspy tones, and Tim's voice never really like. I bet you could sing if you tried, because you don't lose your voice much either.
I can,
bellow. But he didn't really lose his voice, and so I asked him once. I was like, "Hey, like, can you sing? Like, were you in chorus?" And he was like, "Oh, well, I can carry a tune." And I was like. Can you now? And that was when he and Tyler would always do that weird brag thing. And so I think Tyler like yelled from the bathroom like weird brag. but yeah, Tim can carry a tune.
I think we might have to see this.
We might have to have this on the next podcast.
Yeah,
we'll
have to have
a concert,
a guest appearance from a host. But
and maybe you guys can send in your song requests instead of your questions.
I see Tim as like a 90s rock cover band or like country. I see those being like
totally country.
His genres.
Totally. Do you remember when we used to do bird dogs and like bird dog? He would always say it with like a weird accent. Yeah. He would always like
well, you know why they're called bird dogs, right?
Because the bird, when a dog, the pointers, they see it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of messed up.
Yeah.
Let's get into these questions. We got a few questions to choose from to answer for you today. We're always trying to educate people about metabolic training, nutrition, a fit, healthier lifestyle, anything we can do to help. So I think I'll just start it off. We're going to just pick a couple here that jump out at us. But the one, Linz, are there benefits to working out in the morning versus the PM? Or what are your thoughts on that comparison?
I mean, I don't think that there's any like vast differences between working out in the morning and working out at night. I think sometimes when you work out in the morning, it can like help to start your day in a positive note for a lot of people. It sets, especially like if you're right now, we're starting a new macro cycle or like nutritionally, if you work out in the morning, it can kind of start your day on the right note per se. But at the same time on that, like I know there's been times when I've purposely worked out at 3:30 or 4:30 at night to keep me on track all day because I don't want to eat like crap and then go work out and feel like I'm going to vomit. So, I mean, I don't think that there's a huge advantage to one or the other. Honestly, it's whatever you feel best or whatever fits into your schedule. If your schedule only allows you to work out in the morning, then work out in the morning. If your schedule allows you to work out at night, work out at night. I think the importance is that you do it.
You've got it all wrong. See, you have to be in tune with your circadian rhythm and the alignment of the central nervous system with that circadian rhythm. Only when you've gotten 8.5 hours of sleep and drank. Guys, I'm joking.
That's right.
It's whatever. It's honestly, it's whatever you like doing. To be honest, it doesn't really matter. For me, I think that it's funny. I actually think from a strength standpoint, working out in the evening, you might find yourself to be a bit stronger. Yeah. You're a little more awake. You're a little more mobile. You're looser. You're not just stiff and out of bed. And you are, I'm joking when I say that, but unless you had a scoop of Met Fuel right before the class, you're probably not quite as alert and awake. With that being said, I mean, it's obvious our clients love working out in the morning. I think it's psychological for most people. They don't want it hanging over them. They know it's a challenging workout. Yeah. They know it kind of sets the tone for their day. Yeah. Are there benefits to working out in the morning? I would just say the benefit would be mental. If anything, you can be a nicer person.
Right.
at
and
work.
And it's behind you. Like I know Brian for a while when, he was working at the store, he would always plan to work out at 3:30, but if a meeting came up or if he was late doing something like and he either missed that 3:30 time, like it would mess with him so bad that like he would be more angry when the day wasn't that bad, but like because he was going to miss that 3:30 workout, and then he would go to 4:30 and he would be fine. But like I think when you work out in the morning, there's less that can get in the way, because what's going to happen at 6 a.m. other than I mean,
I think you hit the nail on the head, though, Linz. I mean, everybody's different. That phrase doesn't exist for nothing. There are morning people and there are night owls. And if you're a night owl, I would strongly suggest working out in the evening. You're probably not going to get a ton out of that morning workout. I would say, like, honestly, in a world without children, Kara is much more of an evening workout person, and I am the opposite. When I get up if I need an alarm, when I do get up with an alarm, I shoot out of bed. Like I
Right.
sit right up, I'm out of bed, I'm
Ready to
in
go.
the bathroom, shower's
Yep.
on, let's go.
Yep.
You know, and I'm ready.
Yeah.
But I'll be kind. Kara is not that way.
Right, right. I also think sometimes when I work out at night, I'm like you, where I think honestly, I think like 7:30 it would be my like sweet spot to work out every day.
Right.
But there have been times when in the afternoon, like I'll do a 3:30 often, and I do feel like it gives me energy for the rest of the day. Like after like a long work day, or you know, like maybe it was a stressful day, maybe whatever it was. Like you go and you work out in the afternoon, and it makes me a better mom when I go home to you know what I mean? Like it just it takes that all away. I think
the benefits of, if we're talking benefits that
right.
and these are, again, life happens,
right.
so it's
right.
not an option. I think there's more for the afternoon.
Right.
I think especially if you're in a macro cycle or you're trying to lose some body fat, it for me destroys my appetite. Where I would have wanted to eat because I worked out earlier in the day, so I'm a little hungry.
Right.
You know, at night, you know, I'm having a good 1,500 calorie dinner. After a metabolic workout, it's hard for me to even get down 800-900 calories. I'm not that hungry.
Yeah, it takes a while.
It's brutal, man.
Mm-hmm.
But,
yep. Well, here's another question, Matt. So,
sure.
Is meta pairing a reoccurring secondary movement to the indicator lifts? What's the goal?
Yeah, so I think the goal is always to do things that make sense. When you're doing supplemental lifts to the indicator lift, they can't ever take from that lift.
Right.
As an example, we don't typically and typically like to do a ton of lower body loaded movements that are going to really fatigue the chest or the shoulders. You know, it happens at times. It can happen, but that's not something that's the goal that we shoot for. Or you might not choose something with like a heavy grip emphasis,
right?
Or something of that nature. But I think when you find two that work well together, you can really run with those and keep them running. And I think that's the goal. And I think it's, you know, we want to see the indicator lift progressively loaded. I think the accessory movement is there to support the indicator lift,
right?
But also to provide a little bit of consistency and skill development as a indicator lift 2.0, if you will.
Right. I've been loving the indicator lifts. I think it's been really fun to see the clients progress, to have a marker for even myself, like to go into my workouts with. And now I think having that secondary movement too, it's something to look forward to, you know, like I really look forward to Mondays with the floor press and the you know, the kneel to stand. And I know you love that one too.
I am not a great lower body lifter. You know this. I can do some RDLs. I'm okay at those, but I think a lot of that's because I have a decently strong back.
Right.
But you know, that kneel to stand, I do like that movement. Though.
It's a great movement.
It's just it's honest, man.
It's an honest movement.
You can either do it or you can't.
That's
you know, it's really hard to cheat that bad boy, which I like. I like anything that you clients are tough. You guys are scrappy, competitive people, so we got to find things that you can't you can't cheat on. I've learned to like that movement. And I think it's got to really. I would like to see it more, honestly.
Yeah. But I think in terms of the question,
maybe from the front rack dumbbell position.
It's a terrible idea. It's an awful idea. Just death falling over constantly.
That could get a little dangerous.
Could you imagine? But I mean, it would be honest.
Yes,
that's for sure.
Very much so.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the indicator lift is always the priority. The secondary lift is another thing to look forward to, and they're just two markers to really be able to gauge your success.
Just a major difference. Indicator lifts, we're looking to really get a linear, metrical progression on that movement. You know, like TRX triceps. Like we're not setting a PR on TRX kneeling triceps.
Right.
I like TRX kneeling triceps.
Right.
They fit really well in today's workout.
Right.
And I just don't know that we need to necessarily see it that way.
Right.
In terms of trying to set a PR.
Right.
So,
right. Progressing on that movement.
Right. All right.
Just getting more efficient at it.
Well, speaking of PRs, what do you think the best template to hit a PR with is?
We already kind of talked about it, but I think Blue 42 is a big one.
And I would like, sorry, go ahead. Finish your answer.
No, I was just going to say Blue 42 is, I think, one that definitely is one where you can go in kind of like ready to rage and ready to hit your best. I think Arcade was one that was similar. It can be tough to get in and out of that one a little bit. Gauntlet, I always think of a template as, I know we call it like a medium loaded template, but I feel like anytime we bring Gauntlet out, that's one where people push. But Blue 42 is the one that
Tim and I, the point I was going to make is we kind of did away with the medium because medium's kind of gray. It can kind of go one of two ways. And honestly, there's so much carryover that we're like, you know what, it's high or low. What I would encourage the clients to do though is start thinking about your PRs with high rep PRs.
Yeah.
I think over 10 reps,
okay.
11 reps or more.
Right.
And low rep PRs, anything
Smart.
over 5, 6 reps. And I think that's another way to progress. If you're
Right.
always focusing on what you can do for 5 or 6 reps, I mean, that's going to be kind of limiting. But if you
Right.
can turn your high rep PR into your old low rep PR,
right.
now we're getting somewhere.
Right. It's still a PR.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. And it's honestly, since, I take a lot from these podcasts, even as we're talking about them. But I've been thinking a lot about what you were saying in the last podcast about how many reps do you have left at the end of the set, and really trying to apply that to all of my indicator lifts since we talked last.
Right.
And it really, whether, like you said, whether it's a high rep day, whether it's a lower rep day, whether it's a PR, if I'm just focusing on that, how many reps do I have left in the tank? And there shouldn't be too many. I find that I'm pushing myself more and able to safely progress through workloads. But yeah.
Yeah. So for a great PR workout to me is always going to be 40 and 40 because it's 40 seconds of work. So it can be a lower rep or a high rep day. It depends. But for the most part, it could be a low rep day. If you're in a zone and you're at like 9 reps at the 40-second mark, you still have 20 seconds. So you might get 10, 11. You might do a couple after.
Right.
So you can set the PR that way. But the main reason it's a great one is because you have so much time before you come back around. And
right.
You have time pass. And I think
right.
a lot of clients don't realize that. When you do arcade, you have 6 stations, yes.
Right.
But it's 25,
it's so
15.
Fast.
There's
it's
40
so
seconds
fast.
times 5. That's 200
right.
seconds. Shade over 3 minutes before you come back around. I mean, calling a spade is spade at 40 and 40. That's like 7-8 minutes before you come back around.
Right.
So you can really kind of, your body's warm and you're doing stuff, but that muscle group is pretty fresh.
Right. And you kind of ramp that one up because you've got a ton of rounds with that as well. So that makes a big difference. But yeah, I love those good strength workouts.
Love me a good PR.
Love me a good PR.
PBR.
No.
Little dad joke for you.
That was a good dad joke. That was like my milkshake one the other day. You're doing great. Doms, help. Are we all sore every day somewhere, or is it just my way of life now? So talking about delayed onset muscle soreness.
Yeah. So that's interesting. I think the programming is definitely, when you focus on heavier, when I say quote unquote heavier, heavy is a relative term, but when you're really not leaving many reps in the tank, focusing on really getting into that muscle economy of each individual exercise, which is something I talked to Tim about a lot. We really tried to remove a lot of the fluff from the programming and extract every bit of juice from every exercise we can. It does make you sore. I think there's a lot of acclimation that needs to occur with a new training block. I think you'll be surprised within a week or two, you're going to be far less sore, and especially as you keep it moving. But I mean, we did a lot of new things we haven't done in a while. Like we did the kickstand RDLs. We did but the big one, the one that got me last week was the kettlebell sumo squat at elevated, because we haven't done that in a minute.
Long time.
And when you go on from a deficit like that off boxes, that range of motion, that'll get you. But those fibers and that muscle tissue probably hadn't been used under load in that way in 2 years.
Right,
for
right,
me. I haven't
right.
done
Yeah,
that
it's been a long
forever. So incidentally, I felt decently strong in it, but that will go away.
Yeah.
Your body will get used to that in time. I think you got to listen to your body though. If you're a newer client, you have to be very careful with training through that degree of soreness, because you might get injured. If you're more experienced, I think you can even use, Tim and I tend to program in like push-ups after floor pressing, duck walks after squatting, things that can actually help blood flow and recovery.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, I think, a good level of sore is always, it feels good. You feel like your muscles are working. To Matt's point, if you're a newer client, and I believe this question may have come to us from Camillus. So if you are a newer client, like Matt said, just kind of pace yourself a little bit. Don't come out of the gate swinging. Maybe take, maybe if you're coming in on a Monday, Tuesday, take Wednesday off, go Thursday, Friday, try to break up your splits a little bit. Also make sure you're getting adequate protein. A lot of people, when they come to us, you are training like an athlete when you come to Metabolic. So you've got to fuel yourself like such. So a lot of people aren't eating enough protein, and that can help you recover, or eating enough in general. Get your aminos, get your protein. And,
on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
A lot of clients, their weekly average is, because of their weekend behavior, is good, but I've come to realize that that's kind of no good. That's the easy way out.
Right.
And I think when you feel your body, I mean, you are working through this
Yes.
right now. When you feel your body consistently and you just build that consistency, it's like magic, man.
Oh, it's a game
magic.
changer.
Yeah, it's a game changer. I mean, your body feels tremendous. You
Yeah.
have energy. You can hit it, and you get leaner because you're working out harder.
Oh, yeah.
And you're more active and you're moving.
That's it.
It's just a win-win-win all the way around.
Yeah, I've been on macros with Matt for 10 years, but consistently the last week.
It's amazing I haven't been fired.
Consistently the last week. And yeah, it's incredible the difference that you can feel even just in a week, not in terms of like body composition or anything like that, but you just energy-wise, consistency, how you're pushing the gym. It just, it's the magic bullet.
All right, we got time for one or two more here. Probably knock a couple out. Next question. What are good activities to complement our metabolic workouts?
My recommendation would be whatever activities you like to do. I mean, I think I've always felt that like a yoga is a really good complement to metabolic. It just helps you to stay like limber and lean and stretch. But I also like yoga. For me personally, I like two separate workouts. I like a workout like metabolic that's going to be challenging and challenge me and high intensity. And then if I do another workout, I want it to be basically I'm laying on the floor and stretching. I don't like the like in between stuff. I'm not a big fan of any of that. So for me, a compliment would be a yoga because I'm tight and I think it helps me to stretch and stay loose. But I would say anything you like to do, like if you like to hike, hiking is a great compliment to metabolic. If you like to go on a bike ride is a great compliment. If you like to do whatever you like to do, I think it's a great compliment to metabolic.
Totally. I think you should all get a 4-year-old son and go in your basement and play
not a great compliment.
And play Mario Kart. That's what we do. And
I love that.
He doesn't care if I have DOMs.
Yep.
We're spreading laps around my basement. Kids today, they have these socks, and I didn't have them. They have these little treads
with
on the
rubber.
bottom. Did Gino have those? Those little treads?
Oh, yeah.
So when we're sprinting around the basement now, my basement, you can do like a little lap around. It's a finished basement.
Brian's very jealous of that.
Run laps. Well, he won't be jealous for long. Gino does have shorter legs, so it might be easier to catch him. But Caden, I used to just, at Gino's age, I'd jog around. Hey, it was fun. I'd catch him. I'd let him catch me.
Right.
Now he's freaking flying.
Oh, yeah.
And now he's seriously so catching me that I don't have those socks, so I'm slipping all over the place. So honestly, that's a great workout. I think Lindsay said it best. I think just do what you like.
Yeah.
Do you like doing mowing the lawn? Do you like playing basketball? Do you like?
Right.
Don't do something because you think you should. Do it because you like it. Do something though. Even just walking and listening to podcasts.
Yeah.
Whether they're serial killer podcasts or the Metabolic Academy podcast, it doesn't matter.
Or Mafia podcasts.
Mafia podcasts are always good. What is it called? The Our Things podcast with Sammy Gravano. It's called Our Thing. That's what La Cosa Nostra means. It's called the Our Thing podcast.
Of course, that's what it means.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later.
Talk about that off the mic.
We'll talk about that off the mic. I don't want to say the wrong thing. But no, I hiking the dogs, playing with my son, walking. Yeah. That's what I like to do. Maybe you like to do karate in the garage.
Right.
I don't know. Just
yup.
Ping pong.
Right. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think, just whatever you like to do. Metabolic, honestly, like I'm not trying to sound like an infomercial, but I feel like it's a very well-rounded program. Mm-hmm. You've got we've got our primers, you've got mobility worked into there, you've got your cardio, you've got your strength. So I don't think that you need anything in particular to complement the workout is also what I'm trying to get to. Like you don't need to do extra cardio. You don't, I mean, steps help. Yes, that's true. Matt,
you got to be active. And you got to be active in a way that gets your step count up there. We don't want you doing metabolic taking 1,900 steps a day. That doesn't do anyone any good.
Yeah, no, that's a lot.
You got time for one more?
Sure. Didn't really go in an order here. So let's just, Matt, how many days a week is recommended for metabolic?
6 days or don't even bother.
There's a secondary question actually that goes to it, but how many times a week should a person expect to work out to see results? 4, 5, 6?
Yeah, it's funny. The number they say is actually not listed that I think is the starting point answer. I draw a hard line at 3 days a week. Mm-hmm. I think 3 days a week. I've talked about this before. Yeah. If you're in your 50s and 60s and above, consistently getting 2 in, allowing your recovery and work capacity to build, which you can improve that and build that. Once that builds up, add a 3rd day, maybe a 4th if you feel better. That's fine.
Yep.
For people in their 20s, 30s, 40s are kind of in between, but 20s and 30s, I would say start with 3, 4 and go from there. And then just do what you want.
Do what feels good.
It's like I tell my mom. My mom's not quite 70 yet. She's not there yet, in her 60s still. But I'm like, she's like, I don't think I should come today. I don't know what I should do. And I was like, do you want to come? Yes, I'd like to come. So come. So come.
Right.
There are bells that go.
Right.
And there are bells that stop.
Right.
And there's time that passes. And at the end of those 45 minutes, right? Like what's said on the board, that can be done at a myriad of intensity levels.
Right.
And that's up to you as the client to
For
determine what that's going to be.
Absolutely.
Ultimately, it's your body. It's your workout.
Yep.
So I think every workout can have a different intention and purpose.
Right.
Unless you're in my class, and then it's up to me.
And
I'm just kidding. I'm
intention
totally
purpose.
joking. I'm totally joking about that. But no, I think you just have to find, like you always say, find your reason, find your purpose for that day, and extract that from the workout. But if you can get in here 3 days a week, it's not just about the physical workout. It's about making friends, being a part of the community. If you can spend a little more time in there and really ingrate yourself in the community, I think that can make all the difference.
Yeah, I've always said 3 myself as well as the sweet spot to start. I feel like any less than that, every day feels like the first day again. Right. Like if you're only coming once, twice a week, you feel like it just keeps punching you in the face. Like it's just a very, you never really get into the flow. But I think you can hit it 3 times a week to start. You're going to start to hit your rhythm. And then, like you said, add a 4th, add a 5th. But also, like, when you're asking in terms of seeing results, it depends on what those results are that you want to see. You're trying to get stronger. You're trying to get leaner, because we've said it a million times, but you can't out-train a bad diet. You know what I mean? So if you want to see results, you can work out for 45 minutes every day, 7 days a week. But you also have to make sure that you are like eating appropriately, you're recovering, all of that as well. But because if you really want to see results, you're going to have to put a kind of a holistic work into that.
Yeah. And I would just leave it at this too. I think you have to kind of like create a pros and cons list. Mm-hmm. Maybe it has several categories, but you have to categorize your priorities.
Yep.
What are your priorities? Do you want to mentally feel better? Do you want to make friends? Do you want to get stronger? Do you want to burn fat? What do you want to do here?
Right.
And I think the answer of the number of days a week will somewhat be dictated by that. If you want to have mental stress relief and you want to make friends and you're new to town and you don't have any friends and you're trying to meet people, you can come 5-6 days a week.
Oh, yeah.
We can modify that for you just to be around people,
yep.
right? That feels good for some people. We've had clients go through some really traumatic events, unfortunately, in their personal life, who have pulled me aside and either had verbal conversations or written notes, and the difference in the impact that the community has made on their therapy and their recovery and their evolution into being able to exist in day-to-day life again as they once did is huge. I mean, it's monumental. Yeah. So I think even for our younger coaches, I've had to kind of explain that to them sometimes and say, listen, I know I teach you guys about the indicator lifts. Right. And I know I teach you about going bell to bell. But for Sally over here, it's not about bell to bell today. It's about hearing your voice, seeing your smile, and being a part of this community.
Getting a pat on the back and forgetting about life for 45 minutes.
Vice versa, that might not be the case for someone shredding for the wedding. It just depends. Yep. But that's where the best coaches come in because they know that.
Right, you got to know all that stuff. Absolutely. I am a differI'm person on days that I don't work out, hands down. It's like so mentally important for me. Mama bear, yeah. Mean mama bear. I'm a mean mama bear when I don't get to work out.
Gino does not get Starbucks banana bread.
He does not get banana bread.
Oops. Did I get you in trouble? Did I get you in trouble, Linz?
Never. Or chippies at night. That's right. I'm like, Gino, no, you don't get anything.
He's going to be jacked.
But, I don't know. We weighed him the other day. And he's still, I think like when he was like a year old, he weighed like 25 pounds. And he still just weighs 27 pounds now.
They go through that though. They go through that where they kind of.
Maybe I gotta give him some more or something. I gotta beef him up a little bit. He was a beefcake when he was born. Now he's getting skinny mini.
Yeah, I got that baby fat, yeah. He's definitely more sturdy than Caden.
He is. Yeah. He's going to be. He plays this game called Knock You Over where I sit on one end of the room and he sprints at me. Sprints. It's not like a Caden sprint. It's a Gino sprint, so a wobble. And like knocks me over as hard as he can. And he literally will jump like shoulder first and knock me over. And he hits hard. Yeah. Like he literally knocks me over. It's wild.
Drew Smith.
I need to talk to Drew about his form.
We got a bunch of guys on this staff that can teach him how to play.
Because I think he might be in football.
Maybe a linebacker.
He loves to run into shit.
Yeah, there you go.
Excuse me, stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
he's got. You would have in another life. You would have been a good. You would have been a good strong safety, I think, Linz.
I don't know what that means, but I'm sure I would have.
You get to hit people hard.
Yes, I would have been a great safety.
Get to run up and do that.
Perfect.
It's not the biggest position on the field.
Don't need it.
Well, I think that'll about do it for this
good.
episode. This was good. This is nice. We were a little all over the place. We started with my Groutfit. We talked about templates. Did a little Q&A.
When you and Tim were on the podcast, it was much more organized. I apologize to all of our listeners. Tim will probably be back in a couple weeks. It's fine. But yeah, guys, thanks for your time. And we look forward to seeing you next time. As always, if you like what you're listening to, if you're laughing along with us, a 5-star review is always recommended and encouraged. Spotify, iTunes. And I hope you got to watch this episode on YouTube to witness Matt's outfit.
Take care, guys. Have a great day.